let's go back to YouTube and see if we can hear you. Are you able to hear it? Well, it's probably going to start here any second. Oh, that's the old one. That's the old feed. Where's the new feed? You still can't hear yourself? Okay, hold on. Let me shut down Audacity and see if our audio hijack. Okay. Tell me if you can hear yourself now. Still can't hear yourself? If I get this is so weird, man. Oh, Discord is now updating in real time. Alright. I mean, there's not much more for it to go, but sure. Yeah, you're pegged out right now. I believe we will not be having a show today. Why? Like I said, and it's not audio. It's not audio because I don't even have audio. Well, let me haven't done anything to OBS. This is something else that's strange, is that I'm on this active speaker, and this is supposed to be switching between you and I, and it's not. Oh, let's try this one. All right. It's because I wore the Orioles hat. It threw everything off. How did you get to the new live stream? Because I can't get to it at all. Send me the link you're on. Because I got, it's not showing up in our, wait a minute, maybe this one is it. Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it. I found it. Your audio stream settings. Your what do you want? Audio properties. So this is where we did. We're each on different. Here, you're on track 3. I'm gonna put you on track 2 since John's not here. Let's put him on 3. What if that's... Nope, that wasn't it. Let me throw you in. You know what I can do? I can throw you in John's. I can throw you in John's spot. Is what I can do. So put you there, and then pull you in here. Nope. No, it's I don't know because I can hear you and OBS can hear you. OBS is just not streaming your just not streaming your stream. Let me go ahead and share this. Let me go ahead and share this screen with people so that they can see what we're looking at. In case we have some OBS experts out there. Um, that's where we were. Just 5.6. Monitor only, mute output, monitor and output. It's weird. Mine's the only one with a balance for some reason. Oh, no, no, no. I've got. Let's see what. Hold on. Nope, that didn't do it. Let me share. Let me share this screen with people so anybody interested. Let me see. Yeah, window capture. Call this laptop. Say okay. And then go. Look at this one. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's not gonna work. It's just gonna. let me let me kill that. Can I do what's the let's see what this does. no. That's just another. No, that's not it. I know there's a way to share the entire desktop. Display capture? There we go. I want to display capture this. Yeah, see, that does the same damn thing. That's no good. Do I just need to make it smaller? Oh, maybe that's all I need. There we go. For anybody who might be watching the stream, who might be OBS people. Settings? There's no advanced encoder setting. Enable advanced encoder setting? Yeah, that's nothing. Ah, I see what you're saying. Let's try that.
There you go. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Do that again.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, there it is.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. And now I'm all blown out because I'm at 0 dB.
No, you're what?
I'm all blown out because you have me at 0 decibels. You had me at negative 12 and a half.
What are you talking about?
There you go.
I mean, if you're sharing mine, I'll put you right there where I am. Okay. Well, that's weird.
Yeah, that's super weird.
Because I mean, the whole reason we split the channels out before. Let me show this. So the whole reason we had the different channels before was because our audios were overlapping. Remember?
Yeah, but that was when there was all 3 of us. Maybe John's audio never worked on the YouTube stream and we just didn't know it. Because he never says anything.
Yeah, but why was yours? I don't know. I'm not gonna figure it out now. It seems to be working, right? So what do you want to do? You want to do the show, or you want to just call it a night?
Let's just call it night.
Really?
Do you want to do it? You want to
That's
do it?
fine.
You want to do a quickie? You want to do a 30-minute show?
Sure, why not, man? Um, let me put John. Let me take you off here and make sure I don't lose you.
Let's restart our local recordings because I've trashed mine.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll shit. Let's just hide John because John's gone. Okay. Let's make sure I haven't lost you here after
Check,
doing
check.
that. See, do it here.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
That was pretty good. All right. It still sounds good. Oh wait, no, I haven't. I still have you up. Hold on. Oh, you're way low now.
Am I?
That was very good. Do another check.
Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Is that like the only Spanish you know? Or?
No, I actually am pretty good Spanish.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Just from like 2 years
I,
in high school or 2 years in junior high and then working as a bouncer.
okay, you sound like you're on par with me.
All right.
All right,
So
let's try
restart
this again.
restart recordings.
Restart recordings. Okay. Oh, you know what? I didn't have audio hijack running the whole time. Let's see if that screws things up. Do you still have the stream open?
I do.
Okay, keep the stream going. Audio hijack. Let me. All right. Get your audio hijack going. Get local recording going in 3, 2, 1. All right. So local recording going on audio hijack. Clap check.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Okay, you want to do your check and let me know if the stream
Check,
still
check,
has you?
check, check. Checking the stream. I need a tan. Yep.
I heard 2 claps.
That's good.
All right, let's start it from the top. You're listening to episode 157 of PHP Ugly, your completely technically in-app developers and weekly talk show. I am your number one host, who has no idea what he's doing, clearly, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, my good friend, Thomas Rideout.
Hello.
This has been an interesting start of a show.
Yeah, we're 46 minutes into it.
Oh man. So we've had a Daryl here toughing it out with us as we figure out some technical difficulties. Appreciate your feedback, Daryl. But for those who are interested, we are starting about 45 minutes late, mainly because of technical issues. I have so the classic setup we have is at my office. I have what you call the trash can Mac, the older Mac Pro. That's like a black circle. You saw
Yeah, it's a trash can.
They have a new Mac Pros out now. All right. So they're called trash cans. And that's what I use. I leave that at the office so I don't have to lug the laptop back and forth with me. But recently, I mean, I've been having some quirkiness with the trash can. And quite honestly, I mean, it was probably one of the poorest business decisions we made when we bought the trash cans because right from the get-go, our goal was to get something with more RAM than at the time. I think the laptops only came with like 8 gig, 8 or 16 gig, I forget what it was, and we wanted more RAM because we were running a lot of virtual machines. We were running VMs back then, a couple homesteads, virtual boxes. So we wanted more RAM. We wanted a bigger hard drive. So we decided to get the desktop, and at the time the Mac Pros were the desktop of choice. And right off the bat, like we always saw like this quirkiness with the Mac Pros, but I toughed it out. I think John pretty much gave up on his, but I toughed mine out, and I've been using it pretty much for the last 5 years. But I also have my laptop that I go back and use, and we've talked on the show in the past about how I'm always trying to keep the two in sync. because I'm very much like a developer who moves around. Like I'll be on a laptop, then I actually have another laptop I'll use from time to time. I want a Linux laptop so that honestly, I want a Linux laptop just to have for the very rare occasion of when I'm traveling out of country. I want something I can completely wipe clean and only have like the very bare, necessities on it for when I travel out of country. Because
You also want it for like the I have a Linux laptop
yeah,
thing though.
there's that
I mean, it's
aspect
it's
of it too.
both.
But but yeah, I mean, a fun fact: if you're an American citizen, when you cross the borders, that's one of the opportunities that the U.S. government has to seize your property and basically any constitutional rights you think you have are put on hold as you're crossing international borders.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
so yeah, so they can freely go through your laptop at any time whenever you're doing that. Not that I have anything to hide. I just don't particularly want my sensitive information on a government computer, mirrored to a government computer somewhere. So I've always wanted a laptop I could travel with. I'm getting off topic. Anyways, recently this week I decided that I was moving everything to my laptop. Now the laptop actually has a role in our stream. We've always used it as the OBS machine. So what I would typically do is I would fire up Skype on the laptop. I would call myself on my trash can Mac, and then I would call John and Thomas on the laptop as well, and the laptop would host basically the stream. So I thought, okay, if I'm using the laptop now, it'll be no big deal. I don't actually have to touch the OBS configuration, and I'll just call Thomas from the laptop, and everything will be fine and dandy. Well, of course it wasn't fine and dandy, and Thomas and
No,
I have spent the last 45 minutes trying to figure out an audio issue. So
nothing can be easy.
So I go on that tangent just to let you know of everything we went through to be here today for you to talk coding. So and you missed the whole backstory of where I'm having a hat. There was a fire. Let's just leave. I'm wearing a hat. Let's leave it at that.
Also, John's not here today because he's very busy playing frisbee.
Yeah,
And
he apparently there's yet another thing in his life that's takes a higher priority
yeah,
than us. So
sometime between his capoeira classes and his vegan cooking classes.
yeah, yeah. I feel that it's we all make mistakes in our lives and whatever.
Yep.
Anyways, we're here. We're here to talk coding, and my hair didn't catch on fire. I was joking. I'm just wearing my Orioles hat because I had it on, and I don't know. I'm just wearing it today. So, go O's. And this is how bad the Baltimore Orioles are. I'm originally from Maryland, hence why I'm an Orioles fan. The Orioles are so bad, the Padres just swept them. So there you
Ooh.
have it. That's how
Ooh.
you know I'm a true Orioles fan because not only do they suck this year, they have sucked pretty much for the last 10, 15 years, and I'm still wearing an Orioles hat. So,
I mean,
okay,
it's also a testament to how bad the Padres are.
that's true. All right, let's talk some coding, man, because we need to get this show on
Well,
the road.
before we do that, I do want to brag about my watch yet again.
Okay.
I'm loving my watch, and I did decide today, since it was boiling hot and the AC wasn't installed yet, I was going to take it off. And since I had it off, I might as well charge it. It was at 45% ish. So I charged it today for the second time since I purchased it.
All right. Well, let me see the watch. Show the watch for
So
our
this
viewing
is
audience.
it looks just like an Apple Watch. It's a
Is that color?
Yeah, it's color. It's got a very low resolution display. Um, it doesn't give you a whole lot to work with.
Yeah.
Doesn't have
Okay.
all the features or anything
Uh huh.
like that.
Uh huh.
But the battery life, I mean, 40-day battery life on one charge, you can't beat that.
No. No,
And
so back in the day, my journey into smartwatches started with the Pebble. I don't know if you remember the Pebble, but
yes,
the
I still have some in a drawer somewhere.
yeah, that's what I set the standard. I set the bar to everybody else, and nobody else has come close to the Pebble. Every smartwatch I have, the best it goes is 24 hours. So I'm really curious about this one. I do need a watch that I can beat up and maybe go swimming in. So I might.
$65.
Yeah, I know. You told me
Now, I
that.
will tell you, the screen is a pretty unremarkable plastic. So
So it's not a touch screen.
it is a touchscreen, but
It
it
can't be plastic then.
well then it's a very soft glass, but it does get scratched up uh,
Okay.
in daily use. But for $65, you know, what are you gonna do? Uh, and I know they're coming out with a $40 version that doesn't have a GPS chip in it, which will also sport a 40 to 50 day battery life.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to look into picking one of those up because when I play racquetball and when I work out, I have a Fossil, which is a little bit nicer band and not particularly one I want to wear when I go swimming or when I'm playing racquetball. So
Hmm.
I typically take it off. Even like right now when I'm sitting at the desk, I have it off because it's kind of a heavy watch, but I do like it. It's very pretty. Um,
For someone who doesn't like having stuff on me, I find that it barely bothers me at all.
yeah,
It's nice and light.
maybe I have to pick one of those up. I don't know. I do like watches. I'm a watch guy.
Well, and if you don't like it, give it to the wife.
That's true.
You know, just keep the packaging intact and,
It
and seal it back up nicely. Tell her you got it for her.
and it kind of leads into what we were talking about our first round of doing this show, where I'm like I need to step up my style a little bit. We were talking earlier about how I've spent the last 5 years basically wearing DiegoDev T-shirts, and I'm pretty sure I've saturated that market. Like, I've got all the marketing potential out of wearing a DiegoDev T-shirt that I'm going to get. I need to
Yeah,
start
probably.
need to start dressing nicer. I don't know. It's been so long. I need to actually see what clothing I have that's not DiegoDev branded, but
Well, we're big guys, which makes style very difficult.
it really does. Yeah.
And I at one point I was decided, you know what, I like Jonah Hill's style. I'm gonna look up what his style is, and it turns out his style was losing 150 pounds. So already that's off the shelf for me.
Really, are you not interested in losing weight, or you
Sure, but I
struggle doing
can't
it?
I can't I can't do the like Hollywood losing weight diet. I have
Yeah,
kids that drive me insane, and I love beer.
yeah. I'm kind of conflicted on it. I could stand to lose some weight for sure. Like I would like to get under 300 pounds. I'm over 300 pounds, but I do like being a big guy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'd like when people run into me, I don't move that much. I like that.
Yeah, you get a lot of people saying "excuse me" to you more than you say to them.
Right. And for the most part, I feel good. Like right now, I'm probably bigger than I've ever been, and I'm teetering on that. Okay, I need to do something about this because I get like where I'm uncomfortable, like trying to bend over and tie my shoes. I'm getting like uncomfortable. So I don't like that. I like being flexible. I like being able to move and stand up without going, ugh, but
Yeah, the good old dad grunt.
I don't mind being big. I just need to. I do need to work. I know when I don't work out, I know the difference in the feeling, how I feel, and I'm definitely there. I definitely need to work out some, but I'm not. I'm
Well,
not one of these guys where I need to.
it's 95 degrees here in Colorado Springs today.
Mhm.
So I'm totally okay with losing some weight because clearly I've got a warmth layer that's causing me problems. My wife is thrilled that it's nice and hot. She is jogging and working out and big smile on her face, and I'm just barely making it from my my little home office section to my couch. Just,
But no,
this is the worst.
but I mean, don't you feel like, I mean, even with your development, don't you feel, don't you enjoy development more when you're in shape?
No,
No, I
no.
do. I do. I don't know if it's a in shape thing or if it's a rested thing. I feel like I sleep better when I'm in shape, and then I enjoy coding more than I don't know.
Well,
I think
since I got my smartwatch, after about 2 weeks, my phone popped up with a little message that said, "You should lower your expectations." I
it's
shit you
like
not.
it's like, dude, you've got to move.
Right.
Please
No.
move.
For a couple days, it was saying like, "Hey, now's time to move. Get up on your feet, get some workout." But then after a couple of weeks, it just started saying, "You've set your steps too high, your daily steps too high. You should lower it. Start off, pace yourself." And
Your
it had this
goal.
whole thing about like if you set expectations too high, you're less likely to reach them, and it's like I don't need this from my phone.
You see, now this is an important lesson, though. As a developer, as a remote developer, you really should be more serious about that. I mean, you really should
I
try
know.
to have that as part of your regimen as he drinks a beer at, at 11 o'clock at night recording a podcast. Yeah, I hear you.
Got the e-cigarette too. Can't exclude that.
God damn
Nicotine
it.
keeps me active.
Yeah, I need to. We have a couple develop. Well, we talked about John, and his massive weight loss after his brush with death there, and he started, dieting better and working out. But we have another developer who I think you might remember, Daryl Thomas. You remember Daryl?
Oh yes.
Apparently, he's like chiseled now. I didn't get the last SDPHP meetup, but John says he's like spending a couple hours a day in the gym, and he's got the guns, and he's a force to be reckoned with now.
That's uh
That's my thing. I just
middle
need to
age for
enjoy
our
the.
generation is so different than middle age for my parents' generation.
What do you consider middle age? Because I don't consider myself middle age, man. I'm on the downward slide, man. I'm not middle
Well,
aged
okay, I
anymore.
would love to think that at 38 I'm middle aged,
Oh yeah, 38. I'd call that middle age. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
which is it's one of the interesting things. I know we don't talk politics here, but one of the things about the media's coverage of politics is that I'm technically a millennial, but now I'm also middle aged, and they keep treating my whole demographic as if we're 22 or 23,
Mm.
and it's like, no, guys, we understand foreign policy now. We're 40.
Oh God.
Let us
Tip,
talk.
typical millennials. We're older now. Please pay attention to us.
And where's my trophy? I was told I get participation trophies. Okay,
Oh, man, I want to talk coding.
I
John sitting at the desk.
unfortunately I've only got a little coding news. I mean, okay, I'll tell you the first thing that really excited me this week: the
Bring it on.
Raspberry Pi 4.
Try to buy one. They're sold out.
Hell yeah, they are.
They sold out so quick. It was like a rock concert, man. I couldn't believe how fast they sold out.
This is going to be a game changer.
Game
Um,
changer.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so, but
Uh,
okay.
there were some issues with the previous Raspberry Pi devices. They used a shared chipset for Ethernet and USB that was, let's say, suboptimal. Um, this newest chipset is, or newest pair of chipsets is separate, USB and Ethernet, and you're looking at gigabit Ethernet and the let's see, USB-C powered USB 3 ports. I mean,
Yes. The USB-C powered port to power the Raspberry Pi was very, very happy to see that. I was very happy to see
yes.
that. The dual display ports, the dual HDMI ports, eh, I always like the idea of not even having a screen on my Raspberry Pi, but I suppose there has been a big enough of a request for you know dual monitor support for people who want to use it as a desktop, but I don't know. It seems
Uh,
like that's pretty far off.
no, but the displays, it does support 4K displays because it's got a
Right,
it's got a HDMI 2.0, or is it
right.
2.1? Um, the previous Raspberry Pi, the Pi 3, the Ethernet maxed out at about 50 megabits per second, and the USB maxed out at about 250 megabits per second.
Mm-hmm.
Um, both of those being half of what the spec really said it should have supported.
Mm-hmm.
This newest version is full gigabit Ethernet, so you're going to get the 1,000 megabit and full speed USB 3, which means that as a media device or as a NAS, it is a head and shoulders above what exists out there. If you were looking into building a NAS, a network attached storage, out of a Raspberry Pi previously, you were going to have to deal with the fact that you couldn't stream 4K content
Mm-hmm.
because the device simply couldn't handle it either on the USB side or on the Ethernet side. Now you can run a full-fledged network accessible storage server off of a $35 unit and a, let's call it $15 computer case that's got drives in it.
Mm-hmm.
So expect to see the prices of NASs just plummet because
Mm-hmm.
this is going to replace $150 worth of hardware, and that's huge.
Fun fact: this is the first time, maybe the second time, definitely no more than two times, but the first time that I know of that the Raspberry Pi has actually changed its form factor, so that any previous case won't work with this Pi. So I
It
mean,
is the first
that's
time. It's the first time that the power source has changed, um, and I think every major revision, 1, 2, 3, and 4, all changed form factors a little bit.
nope. Nope, they all continue. Well, I know 2 and 3 continue.
0, the Pi Zero is a different form factor. It's the gumstick
Well, that's a
style.
different that's a
Yeah,
different
different
system
product.
altogether. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely want to get my hands on one of these. I'm wondering if um, if it's going to have the capabilities to run Docker at all. And I tried getting Docker. I kept seeing articles of people who got Docker running on Pi, and every time I tried to do it, it was janky. It was something would break, something wouldn't work like correct, or I'd get Docker running, but like I couldn't get any images running. It was janky as hell. So I'm hoping this might be able to handle that better. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my hands on one of these. I'm a fan of the pies.
Yeah, so it comes in multiple models. The 1 gig RAM is $35, 2 gig is 45, and 4 gig is $55.
$55 for a 4 gig board. I
I
mean,
mean, like I said, a 4 gig, the 1 gig model can stream 4K content
mm-hmm,
from a USB device. That's amazing,
mm-hmm.
and nothing can beat that right now. And $35, it's nuts. So yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on one. I'm excited.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Play with it. Come up with something to do with it. I always have these like little ideas, and I get halfway through coding it, and I'm like, I'm tired. I
I'm
don't want
telling
to
you,
do
man,
this
the
more.
3D printer really makes the Pi into an even more valuable device.
Yeah. Are you still doing your 3D printing?
I'm trying to get it booted back up. It's been so hot here. I just got the
Mm-hmm.
air conditioner installed today in the window, and a nice piece of cardboard to block off the part of the window that it doesn't cover
Mm-hmm.
the whole deal. Um, so we'll see. I might get it. I might get it in soon. I'm supposed to be making a couple things.
Cool. Cool. All right. What else do we got going on? You want to talk about
Well,
your Pole Panda?
yeah, I do. We do have some coding stuff.
Okay.
We talked the last 2 weeks about Google or Microsoft acquiring uh, what's it called? The bug checking one,
Dependabot.
Dependabot.
Mm-hmm.
They acquired Dependabot and then implemented it for free into GitHub, and now they have done the same thing again with a company called Pull Panda.
Pole
Um,
Panda. I looked at this one. I'm still not clear what the hell it does.
so the general idea for Pull Panda is that it is a larger group system for managing code bases. You can assign pull requests to a person, or you can say that these are the people in my team, and it will load balance pull requests among the people in the team. So if
Load
you,
balance pull requests. Go ahead.
yeah, so if you have, let's say it's you, John, and me on a team, if I issue a pull request, it will decide to send that pull request to review for you or John. And it will do that based off of a load balancing type mechanic that it has built into it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it also it does reminders in Slack. It'll say, "Hey, you've got a pull request that you need to handle. Here's information about it. So it's 5 days old. It's waiting on this or that. Here's the name of the pull request, and you can click on it, and it takes you straight to the pull request and starts reviewing it. You can talk back to the Slack bot that they have and say, "Okay, I'll get that handled soon," and it'll mark that as a comment in the system.
Hmm.
It also has analytics for your pull requests. It will give you, I'll quote the site here, remove bottlenecks and optimize process using insights from your GitHub data. Uh,
Hmm.
so we don't
Yeah.
know how much they paid for this product. It doesn't seem like it's a $2 billion type acquisition.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just more support being added into GitHub, more features and functionality, and basically moving the opposite direction of what everyone was afraid of when Microsoft bought GitHub.
It's true. Yeah, they
I
seem
mean,
to be.
everyone was afraid GitHub they're going to kill it. They're going to replace it with Code Vault or whatever they call their version of it.
Hmm.
And no, GitHub is thriving, huge, and getting bigger and bigger.
So I wonder if they're going to keep this as an additional service that you enable on GitHub, or if this is going to start to become the default behavior of GitHub, where just just whatever Pull Panda does, that just is baked into. That's how GitHub manages.
I'm not in an environment where we would use any of this feature set
Yeah, I mean,
whatsoever.
this seems like you
So
have to be in a pretty big team for this to be beneficial.
yeah, or I mean, DiegoDev is a great example of a good use case for this because you can have policies that say all code must be reviewed, all pull requests must be reviewed by another party member not
Oh,
involved in the project or something like
oh
that.
well, yeah, we don't have that, but I mean, GitHub does. So we do that, but basically the rule is that uh, we say that a certain amount of code owners have to sign off on a PR before it can be merged. So, and you define code owners in the repo, and anybody can kind of review. And this is kind of the cool thing about it is anybody can review pull requests, but one or two, in some cases, most cases is one, some cases is two. Code owners actually have to approve the PR before it can be merged, but anybody can actually review and approve it. It just doesn't count to the condition of being able to merge it until code owners approve it. So I mean, they had some of that in there, and we do use that. It's just that works fine for our team. Yeah, as I'd be curious to hear. Hit us up on Twitter. I'd be curious to hear because I think the workflow of teams reviewing other teams' PRs who aren't working on the project is very appealing. But I just don't see that as like in my perfect world that happens. Like I have team A who works on project A, team B who works on project B, and when team B creates a pull request, maybe somebody from team B has to approve it and somebody from team A has to approve it. And where I think that seems like it would be such a wonderful to implement that the people who aren't involved in the project just do a very recursive, yeah, this kind of follows standards, I don't see any issue here, approval, which I guess does have benefits, but I don't know, it just seems to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I the Previously it was for a 7 user license it was $14 a month. So
Mm.
it obviously wasn't a super premium service they were providing. Uh, but I mean now you don't have to pay that $15.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Like I said, I can see them integrating this as making it part of the workflow where you can because right now you have a bunch of conditions you can put on a repo before you can merge PRs. There's a whole little rules library you can define,
Right.
and it'd be nice to see some of this added to that. Where if you want it, you can have it, but I don't want them to see you kind of start to force you to use it. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, so I'm curious in your work environment. In You have a fairly big team, Thomas. How many people do you typically PR review do reviews on pull requests for you guys?
It's just my boss man.
Really, he does it. He's kind of the yeah. Okay, all right.
Well, my stuff doesn't typically go through review unless it's touching a very sensitive area that he's worried about. Um, so my stuff I just push out to production when I'm done with it or happy with it. Uh, there is some front end stuff that gets reviewed, but it's not really a code review. It's just a functionality review.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other developer at similar level to me is also pretty autonomous as far as I know. Um, we have to work fast and loose. We have to adjust to schedules very quickly and meet the owner's needs sort of at the drop of a hat. So our processes are not as refined as you might think.
Oh yeah, it's never like that, right?
Yeah.
It's always the man behind the curtain sort of thing, this scenario. But I know for our team, like you said, I typically break it down back end, front end, where depending on the front end developer who makes the PR, there are a couple of other developers I will reach out to and says, hey, I'd really like your eyes on this, especially front end stuff because I'm not I still don't feel great about my JavaScript skills, and we're a heavy view shop now, at least for this one project. So even my view skills, I'm just like I really would feel better to have somebody else, and I typically have somebody else sign off on it, then I'll do my review. Um, and for front end stuff, for me, I mean, I will typically, if I have the time, pull it into a branch on my local machine and look at it before I actually do the merge. But and we have scrutinizer set up, so I know it's passing certain tests. We don't have a lot of front end tests, unfortunately. That's mainly back end stuff. But and again, I pretty much do most of the merging for our projects, except for the project that John works on. So I review a lot of code on projects, multiple projects. So
Do you catch a lot in your reviews?
no, I don't. Not as much as I used to. I a lot of that's because we just really have good developers. We have developers who are really passionate about standards and implementation, so they're really good at you know at what they do. The only time I will catch things or they're more architectural things where it's like, okay, I don't like the way you're doing this, and typically the team knows me well enough to know what's going to trigger me, and they will reach out to me before they submit a PR, and then, they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about changing a table, and I'm thinking about doing this, and we'll talk through it. So we've I was thinking about today, our team, our youngest, our not youngest, our most junior developer who's been on the team now has been on the team for 2 years, maybe a little longer than 2 years. So, as a group, we've been working together for a long time, and everybody really understands everybody else's strengths and weaknesses, and what people struggle with, what people are good at. So it's we have a real good kind of chemistry here at DiegoDev as far as when we have teams work on projects, and everybody's they're not completely self-organizing yet, but like my need to be alive is becoming less and less. Like I could probably die in this office tomorrow. Nobody would find me for like a month, and nobody even know I was dead because the team would be so self-organized.
Okay, that took a dark turn.
I mean, it's just it's good. It's good to have it. I don't think any one person is too overwhelmed. I think we have developers who have big goals in a project that they're trying to get through, but it's not like any one developer is tasked with too many responsibilities.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, I think we're really, really fortunate. I'm always so paranoid that it's going to take like one person leaving and then the wheels fall off. I think I'm the only person that can leave and the wheels would fall off. Like the train would still be going down the track with or without me.
I've got a little bit more news. We have breaking news today.
Okay.
Um, Johnny Ive.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Ive is leaving Apple. If you
So,
don't know who he is the lead designer behind the iPhone.
in a lot of the current styles of Apple, a lot of the
Yeah. Thank
yeah.
God. I mean, he's got to be so done with this by now. The direction that Apple has gone since he created the iPhone.
You think he took a look at that last WWDC and saw that stand? He's like,
Yeah,
no, man,
just threw his
I'm
hands
out of
up and said, "You
I'm
know
out of
what?
here.
You know what? They don't need a designer anymore."
they're not looking for me anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it's the guy's been there. I mean, he's been there for a while.
it's interesting that we don't know where he's going.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we do. He's starting his own design firm,
oh, a design firm? Oh, bummer.
which he'll probably contract with Apple. So,
Of course. Brilliant.
nothing will change. It just, you know, yeah. I still thought it was interesting to hear that. I
Did
think
you see that somebody tried to see how well the new Mac Pros could actually grate cheese?
no, I did not.
So somebody
How did
figured
that
out
go
how.
for him?
I'm not sure exactly. Somebody figured out how to CNC the exact pattern that Apple's using,
Hmm.
and so they did some tests with aluminum, and I don't think it does as well on cheese as people thought it might.
Well, because it's not a cheese grater; it just looks like one.
Yeah, it just looks stupid. It
I
looks like an
am
airport from the 90s.
so, like I said at the beginning of this show, I'm moving to using my MacBook Pro full time again. And one of the things I'm looking to do, and the reason we're able to do that, like I said, when we bought the trash can Macs, we were using VMs and a lot of stuff. We don't use VMs so much anymore. There's a lot of Docker stuff. It's not as resource intense on laptop. So, I'm definitely feeling better about it. But there are certain things that we do that are pretty resource intensive on the laptop. This being one of them, having OBS and streaming, a bunch of stuff being one of them. So I've been looking into eGPUs lately, and I think I'm going to try to do an eGPU with my laptop.
Explain this.
External graphic processor.
Oh,
Yeah.
the FireWire with the external case and everything.
Right.
Terrible, terrible investment.
Why?
Because just the case to hold the GPU is starts at $180.
300 for the one I'm looking at. Yes.
Oh my God! But the card itself is going to be 300.
Right. So that's if you go to the Apple Store, they have one that they officially support and they sell in the Apple Store. That one's going for $1,100 or $1,200.
Oh my God!
That's the
That is
case.
unbelievable.
That's the case. That's the graphics card. That's everything.
Yeah,
But
that's stupid. That's
but
that's double the price.
but not only is it double the price, but it's also not upgradable. So whatever you get, you're stuck with. So I've been doing
Oh,
some
come on. You
research.
got to get out of this ecosystem.
I've been doing some research. Well, that's the thing though, is an eGPU can be used across platforms, right? It's not an Apple thing. It's anything can use an eGPU. Apple actually handles it better than most other OSs, but you can use it with Linux. You can use it with Windows. You're not buying an eGPU and then if you get rid of your Apple laptop, you've got a paperweight. You can still continue to use it. So yeah, the one I'm looking at by the time I assemble it, it's going to run me about $600-700.
Now, on a related note, the platform on Linux for gaming used to be Ubuntu because it was very similar, just plug and play functionality worked really well. And so Steam or Valve put a lot of effort into getting support for gaming on Linux through the Ubuntu project. However, Ubuntu is not going to be supporting 32-bit platforms in the future.
Okay.
And if you know anything about Windows gaming, it's a lot of 32-bit executables. Getting that to run native in Ubuntu was one of the big things that Valve wanted. And with the drop for 32-bit support, it's just not going to happen anymore.
Hmm.
So Steam is dropping Ubuntu, and they're going to have to be working with a different distribution. Although, since I pulled this post up, it's been updated, and it says that Valve likely will continue to support Ubuntu because the makers of Ubuntu said they will support select 32-bit packages going forward.
There you go. Nice little compromise. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, I gotta love Linux. Nothing works the way you want it to.
So I got stuck in a situation. I was actually thinking about you this week, Thomas. I was stuck in a situation where I needed a Windows laptop, and I almost called you. If I hadn't been accessing a government computer and needed government clearance, I would have reached
I
out
have
to
it.
you. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, shit. I should have called you, man. I had a
You
system.
you have to hold my clearance for me though in order for it to apply. Uh,
I had a system I was trying to get on, and I was telling they put me in touch with the IT people there, and those sort of IT guys are very focused, and if you're outside their scope of expertise, they're not trying to help you. And he's like, well, just open up a terminal and open up a remote desktop session and go to the machine. I'm like, it's a Linux box. He goes, what? I'm like, yeah. He goes, huh. He says, well, I think you can still open a remote desktop session. I'm like, well, I'm on a Mac. I don't know how that works.
Remina.
So no,
It's called it's called Remina, and it is a POSIX compatible, fully featured remote desktop application.
well, I had a remote desktop application on it. It was called SSH. And that's what I was trying to tell him. I'm like, listen, this works. It's not a desktop connectivity issue. It's a networking issue. I can't get to the box. He's like, I don't know, man. I go to the portal and I hit connect and remote desktop opens and I can see the machines there. I'm like, okay, but there's a networking issue between the public network and your little internal world. So, anyways, I was working with him in parallel. His solution was, you have to get a Windows machine and run remote desktop. I'm like, all right, I will install Windows in a virtual machine here, and while I'm doing that, you check the network settings. And fortunately, he got back to me before I finished installing Windows because, as you mentioned a couple shows back, that is a lengthy process.
Oh God, it takes forever.
Holy crap, man. So I
Ubuntu
was,
just wants to know, like, what part of the world kind of are you in?
mm,
And that's it. Windows has a billion questions to
they want to
answer
know
while you're
where
installing it.
you're sitting right now. Like, what
Right. They
color
want to
is the
know the
chair you're in?
brand of your chair.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually he called me back. He goes, "Hey, it looks like your machine is on DHCP and the IP address changed." I'm like, "Okay, that's fantastic. Can you update your firewall?" And he updated the firewall, and everything was good. But now I have this. I was already like through 70% of a Windows install, so now I actually have a Windows VM on my laptop, which I don't know what to do with now.
Video game, Rocket League.
I've been trying to get the Ubuntu command line installed in it, but it keeps complaining about something, and I don't care enough about it to try to figure it out.
Speaking of which, the the new Windows 10 terminal that we've been talking about for months is now in preview. You can open up the Windows Store and just click install, and it will install on your machine and let you choose from all of the different types of shells that you have available and
That's
pop one
exactly
open
what I
for
was
you.
exactly what I was trying to do actually. So
It's
maybe
it's very
maybe
nice.
if I really get the inkling, maybe I'll fire up the VM and call you, and we can do
Oh, it
we
just
can.
crashed. I
Oh,
closed I closed the last tab without closing the window itself, and the window
uh,
crashed.
I don't know what to do here. Bye.
I
Oh man. So we haven't made a big deal about it, and I don't intend to make a big deal about it. But John
do we want to
Congdon,
wait till next week? Oh no, John might not be he might playing frisbee again.
yeah, John Congdon is pretty much not part of the show anymore. He may be making a guest appearance from time to time, but we don't know what's happening with him. However, he did have a pretty big announcement today, so I want to give him some shout outs here. But he will be speaking, it looks like he's going to be speaking at PHP World this year.
That is awesome.
Really? You really think that's awesome? I don't know. I don't know if it's
That's
awesome.
great news for him. It's good news for DiegoDev.
I
Do you know what he's speaking about?
Yes, I do. I don't know if I'm allowed to say though. Yeah, I think I should be able to say, right? I mean, it's not like a secret. I don't think. I'm not going to say. I'll let John say. I know what it is. They're two really interesting topics.
Test driven development 101.
Okay, I guess you're going to say.
Well, I just pulled it off of their schedule. I didn't know what it was.
Oh, is their schedule up?
The schedule is up.
What? PHP World schedule's up?
Yeah.
So he has
Uh,
two on there then. Let me bring this up. I tried. I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share our screen in OBS, but that's not sharing. I don't know. We have to get our OBS configuration set up again because it's kind of sucking balls right now. Okay.
so it's a 4-track uh, schedule, and it looks like John is speaking Wednesday, October 23rd at 3:15, and it is in the ballroom. He gets the big room.
So he's got two on here. Oh, what? So he's also doing event sourcing 101.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So go to speakers, go to phparch.com, go to
Yeah,
speakers,
look at
and
that.
click on him.
Boy, I hope he knows he's doing two.
Yeah, he does. That's why I knew it. But yeah, cool stuff, man.
Very, very exciting. I'm gonna have to go.
You're gonna come to World?
I'm gonna have to.
I think you should.
DC in October, it's pretty nice.
It is.
Still a little warm, but
And actually, last year was in November and it snowed. So, but where they're having it this year is the I don't know exactly where it's at, but it's in the Tyson's Corner arena, and that's a nice area. Fun stuff there.
I think I might
Uh,
have some family out there. I'll have to see.
let's add this to our show notes. What do you say?
Yeah.
I need to open that up in some other. I will open this up in show notes.
I've got one more thing. Do you want to do one more topic
Wrap it up?
we
Sure. Let's
before we
do it.
close it out? Uh, MongoDB.
I'm a fan.
They have announced that they are implementing field level encryption.
Okay. You've piqued my interest. What does that mean?
Well, the idea here is that the person who owns the data holds the key, and that the key is not available to the server. So it's encrypted and decrypted via a user's identity.
Like a SSH key sort of thing? Like it has to be.
Something like that. They've said that implementing this kind of technology isn't really possible on relational databases, which
Right,
I'm
that would
not.
make sense.
I don't quite understand that.
Well,
Um,
because think about it, a relational database, everything's a row. You have to. So with a MongoDB, it's a doc. So it's like encrypting Dropbox, right? Where you're just encrypting documents. In a
sure.
MongoDB, so everything's a document. So you just encrypt the document. I can definitely see why it's more achievable with a document store than a relational database.
So it's an interesting solution, but it's one that requires the implementation to give up control. To give up the accessibility of that data to them, and theoretically to lose analytical data that
Right. That's what
people
I was
would
just
want.
thinking about. It's like what as a developer now, it's like what you can't use that data for anything. It's almost like it would be like a Dropbox scenario where users might upload documents for other users, but you as a developer, it's just a garble glue. It's not like you can pull in the record and say, okay, display the phone number in this record. You know what I mean? It's just a glob of data sitting in your database.
Right. So there's not a huge incentive at this point in time for anyone to actually implement this. However, if you look at what the GDPR says about storage of personal data,
Mm.
if you were to encrypt, if you were to do field level encryption so that the data was encrypted by the user, then you would never have to worry about deleting anything because the data isn't there. It's the encrypted values.
Also, how else that might work is well, that is interesting now that you bring that up. So you could almost think of it like a queuing system between systems, right? Where you could throw an encrypted blob into a MongoDB database store, and then maybe, for example, you have an accounting system that will go to that MongoDB and pull down records for the accounting system to process. It knows how to decrypt it because it's one of the things that has the key to that data. So it says, okay,
Right.
pull down my accounting data, decrypt everything, process everything. Yeah, that actually, yeah, that's interesting.
So my money here is on the fact that MongoDB is leveraging the concern and the future legal implications of storage of personal data and saying when a law comes along talking about how you have to treat personal data, here's a drop-in solution that we've been running for 2 years.
Right.
Because it's not impossible that a similar situation to the GDPR happens, universally. If it's implemented in Britain and the US, then it's going to be implemented everywhere except China.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this data privacy stuff, if I told you when you delete your key, when you say revoke access,
Mm-hmm.
it's gone. The data is gone because by all technical, if you believe your encryption to be secure, then the data is just as good as deleted. So you could do field level encryption on all personal data, and then when the person revokes that key, it's just never available again.
Hmm. That's weird though because it would still be on your system. You just wouldn't know it. You would have no way theoretically of and theoretically nobody else would be able to prove it either.
Well, I'll give you an example that works a little better is the blockchain has been a big problem for GDPR stuff because the blockchain is forever and it propagates throughout every machine. So in those scenarios, if the data is encrypted on the blockchain and you lose the encryption key, it's as good as gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that should adhere to most legal standards for having been removed. Uh, it gets messy. I mean, I can guarantee you that the MongoDB team is planning on this being a mandated implementation for most userland data,
Hmm.
and that this is a look forward to the future where
I
governments
don't
are going to
know.
require.
Yeah, I mean, usually, see, but again, oh man, that's so challenging though because it's that userland data that as developers you use throughout your application. It's their names, their phone numbers, their address, their that's the data you want. And if it's encrypted and you don't have access
as
to it,
as a
what's the point?
corporation, it's the data you want, but it's also the data that the users don't want you to have.
I get that. I,
And
I
and
get that, but I'm
we're
just
we're,
saying.
we're in a perpetual mindset of companies won't let us do this. Companies won't let us do this. Companies shouldn't have the power to tell us what we can and can't do.
No, it's
Yes, it
not a
is.
matter.
Yes, it is the
It's not
data
a
that they
matter.
want.
It's not.
It
No, it's not a matter of can can't do though. They're not going to be able to create as beneficial applications to us because they won't have access to the data they need access
absolutely,
to.
but they won't be able to create as harmful applications either.
Absolutely, but you have the internet now. Degressing back into the 90s dial-up of crappy applications that really don't do a whole lot for you.
I something's going to have to change with Mark
I'm just,
Zuckerberg talking about
I'm
privacy and then everyone just rolling their eyes and saying, "We know you're lying now."
right. I mean,
It's
I'm just thinking as a developer, right? As a
yeah,
coder, what the applications I have now. First thing, how much would that be impacted? And second thing, what could I really offer a client, without certain information? And I mean, we have some clients who are very dependent on some information for enforcement, for permitting, for I mean they need things like addresses and stuff like that that if I didn't have access to, they wouldn't have a product.
sure, and
I
that would
don't
have to
know.
be accounted for in any legislation that moved forward. In the same way that right now every single stupid website I go on has a cookie warning that I have to get rid of, and it's the worst version of what that law was intended to do.
Right, right. I guess my point is, as a coder, I can definitely see some use cases for something like this in where I could use it, but I don't think it will be used the way you're suggesting that it should be used, which is to address a lot of this personal identifiable information. I just
Well,
don't.
in the Wired article that I read, I say read because I didn't read it. Skimmed, we'll say.
Okay, that's fair.
Wired, it's too many words. But they do specifically address that it is about part of their plan is about users' ownership of their own data. And that this implementation, it allows the company to hold the keys themselves or to give the keys to the client. And that
Right.
both implementations are valid, um, and that both implementations address different issues, business issues that people encounter.
And I definitely the one where the business holds the key. I can definitely see a lot of use cases for that. That's what I touched on earlier. So where
Yeah,
the company still has access to the data, but they have that added additional layer of not only is it encrypted, but record to
it's
record. It's
it's a per record
right.
encryption, and it's automated, and it's just an abstraction from a single sign-in issue that, let's say, MongoDB has had this year, because oh boy, they've had a lot of problems with that this year.
Oh really?
MongoDB has a default setting that if you let it through the firewall, it doesn't ask for a login.
That yeah. Microsoft SQL used to have that too.
Yeah,
I
small,
remember.
just a small problem.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's been a long night. We've had technical difficulties, but we got our shit together and put a show out there. So
A
I'm actually
damn
feeling good
fine
about ourselves.
show.
Damn fine show, the man says, and I tend to agree with him. I do enjoy doing this, although we're not very good at it. I do enjoy talking every week about coding and development. So I look forward to next week with you, Thomas.
As do I.
This has been episode 157 of PHP Ugly. I am Eric Johnson.
I'm Tom Rideout.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Wow, that was difficult.
I I told you what happened on Wednesday. I started to panic about editing the show.
Yeah, you realize you'd already ended
It's
it.
like, oh yeah. Well, so my favorite
Hey,
thing of
pull up our stream again. See if the music's playing in the background. Or Daryl, if you're still on, let me know if the music's playing in the background. So, what were you saying, Thomas?
us way behind.
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes behind or 2 minutes behind, I think.
Um, so my favorite time of year is the speed running events that run for 3 days or 4 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing some long ass RPG that I just don't care about. So I just kept it running in the background and did the edit on Tuesday morning.
Nice.
It's like, oh, that worked out really nicely.
Yeah, for me, man, if I can't get to the edits on the weekend, I'm not gonna be able to do them. I mean, that's just like that's my Monday through Friday, like every freaking minute of my day is accounted for right now with work.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's like I have windows on the weekend that I try to knock this out.
It's like, oh, that worked out really nicely.
You hear music?
I slightly hear music. It's very low.
Turn it up. So maybe before the show next week.
Give another pre run.
Yeah. Maybe for the show next week, you and I get together and try to figure out what happened and what we can do to prevent it from happening again.
I'll have to read up on what the OBS channels stuff does.
Because if you remember, when there were three of us, well,
We got when there were three of us, we got double of John's feed. So you could hear John, me, and you through his feed.
it was only John's feed that happened.
It was
on?
just his.
Maybe there is something wrong with his configuration sometimes. I don't know. But still, it still doesn't explain what happened today. Well, I guess it does. If I don't understand why putting you on the same channel fixed it. I still don't get that.
I think it's a Skype thing. I think it's just the way Skype works is when there's three connected speakers, one of them is the master and the other two are slave to it.
So now that the show's over, if I come over here to active speaker, this is something else that's not working, is our active speaker. So it should be switching over to me because I'm talking, and it's not.
Is my ambient level too high?
I mean, I don't think it's you at all, really, because it's a Skype thing, right? I can't hear you now, whatever you did. So yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
know.
work. That's not working anymore for some reason. And then I switched over to Firefox to show our browser, and that just flat out wasn't working. Let me take it over. Let me put it. I also have.
No, there's like a super OBS, right?
I think this is this. Oh, you know what? I did update OBS. Shit, I wonder if that has something to do with it. Let me let's see if I put Pretzel up there. So that's Pretzel right there. All right, so let me switch that back over to Firefox and see if the browser comes up because there's Google Chrome. Okay, Google Chrome comes up. All right, where's Firefox? Where's
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that.
Oh, hush.
Have you
Firefox.
seen the new season of Black Mirror?
Oh, now Firefox is coming up. No. No. I have not. Is it good?
It's okay.
I started. So this is. I started watching it. I watched the one where they had Falcon and him having that like gay thing with his buddy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, like they have big names on it this season, right?
Yeah. The
So,
Miley Cyrus one was really good. And
oh yeah, I heard she was on. Yeah.
yeah, and the future of
She wrote it. Okay. Why? Uh, I have to watch that now. So now I'm. Oh, look at that. Well, that's taking forever to update. Well, I'm clicking around. It's taking forever to update. Yeah, the one with Falcon. So the Falcon, he was the first one, right? Yeah, I didn't get through that one.
Second one has Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes,
Oh,
and he's amazing. Are we still streaming?
we already always stop.
We got to thank all of our Patreons. Thank everybody listening. Thank you to our YouTube viewers. We're super excited to have 103 people on YouTube, and we are very thankful for everybody who, for some reason or another, enjoys listening to us.
Crazy people. Are you still seeing? Am I sharing my screen with you? Are you seeing my
Yeah.
OBS? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I really wonder why this isn't working.
I got to go watch some TV with my wife.
Okay.
I'll try to get this edited Monday.
All right. That would be
Just
awesome.
the weekends don't work for me because the kids just have so many needs nonstop.
You don't have to always get the kids everything they want. You can ignore them from time to time.
God, you'd think so, right?
All right, man.
Uh,
All right, thanks everybody for watching. I'm gonna go and kill the stream for now. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
all right, and I'll talk to you later, Eric.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, bye.